Hello Year 6, welcome to our second week of work on our collage, although we haven't done much collage yet, but this is the week that we do. Last week was spent with our warm-up drawing and our designing for our collage, and this week we're going to add the papers and materials to the card to create or recreate the work of Gustav Klimt and the Kiss. So I'm just going to show you this week the stage that we're going to go through, which is we're going to concentrate on working on the cloak. So there's just one or two things I want to show you to make life a little bit easier for you when you come to do your work on recreating the patterns that you designed last week. So without further ado, as ever, I will endeavour to show you what to do. So this is the stage we got to at the end of last week, where we have our design sheet, where we have the two different sides of that design, the harder and the softer side, and this is going to make up the cloak that we are going to be making our collage from or about. So once we've got to that stage, the next stage we need to do is to look at, I'm just using this piece of paper, what we're going to do is we're going to draw the cloak in pencil on top of that card that we've got our design on. So you'll notice that it's going to come quite a way down to the bottom of the paper, and it's almost touching the top of the paper, so it more or less fills in most of that space that we've got there. And I think it looks a little bit like Darth Vader. So it's got a curve at the top, then it comes around here. This side of the cloak hangs down fairly straight, and then there's a sort of a curve here where he's enveloping her or putting his arm around his partner. So all I did was to take this piece here, and I'll do it upside down for you, and I'm going to just draw a line like so along the top. So we've got that curved line at the top. This side is coming down pretty much straight, and it's coming down towards the bottom of the paper, and then so we've got more space at the bottom than we do have at the top, and then we're coming around here and it's just flowing around a little bit more in a rounded fashion. Once you're happy with that shape, and of course if you're not happy, you can, what I would do first of all is to do this quite lightly, is then go around and make that a little darker so that it's easier for you to see which bit goes where. And I've made a mistake here, because this side should be the side that's the more rectangular side. So don't make the same mistake that I've made. On this one that I've done, I've got this side that comes straight down is the stronger side, and this is the more softer side. So when you've drawn your shape, the next job you've got to do is basically just cut that out. So we're going to cut a little bit of what we designed last week away. And again, what I would do once you've cut this piece out, and I'm doing it quite quickly, so once you've cut that piece out, I would take another piece of card so that you can see. I'll just take a piece of card. I'll put another piece of card here so you can see really how your sizing is going to go, and that's just about perfect, I think, because it comes fairly much to the top, and then we've got the flowers and the things that are going to come down in the following weeks down there. So once you're happy of your shape and the size of your shape, and you can always cut more off. It's very difficult to put it back on again, so I would err on the side of caution on that, and make sure that you've got, well, you can see from this one that we've got very little space either side, because as I say, you can always cut it smaller, but it's more difficult to cut it, well, to add to it. So once we've got to that stage, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a pencil crayon, and I'm just lightly, because this is going to form the background, I'm just lightly going to go across with my pencil crayon. And you can take more time and care than this with me, but you can see I'm not obliterating, I'm not taking out the shapes that I've been looking for, that I've been using. I can still see them through there, but this is going to be the background, which is going to be much easier to do it this way than it will be to add colour in once we've started our collage. And you can choose any colour that you want to do this. And more importantly, you don't need to go over these areas too much. What you need to do is to look and concentrate on the areas in between where the collage is going to go. So we've got our shape cut out, and then we've got the colour. And I'm just going to show you this one that I did, I've started to make. And you can see now that I've got the background colour here, and I've got the papers that I've cut out here. I'm just going to show you, you can do any background colour, you can do any the patterns that you want to do, and of course use any sorts of paper that you want. So I've just got an assortment of papers here. Because I've got those strong shapes, I've got some paper that's got lines already on it. So I'm going to now start cutting out and sticking that on, and I just want to show you for these ones here, it's fairly straightforward how you're going to cut those out. In fact, I'll just do that now for you, if I can find my scissors. They've fallen on the floor, so I've got my scissors. So what I do is sort of measure up like so, and I can see that it's going to be that length. So I know it's going to be that length, and I'm just going to sort of estimate, but make it a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to measure again, like so, cut through, cut, trim, and then I'm going to glue my piece of paper. So I'm just using Pritt stick for this because it's paper. I'm not going to spend too long on this because it's fairly straightforward and you know what you're doing. So the ones that are full are quite simple and straightforward to do. When we come to ones like these, it's a little bit more difficult. This rounded shape is a little bit more difficult, and there's a little thing I want to show you here to show you how to do that. So I'm going to look at the shape I've got here, and I'm going to roughly cut a shape that I think is about the right size. So I'm having to estimate the size that's going to go there. And I'm going to put it on top, and I can see it needs to be a little bit more rounded there. So I'm going to round it round, and as long as it covers up and is more or less the right size, that's good enough for me. So you can see now that that bit covers over that bit, and this is going to be the bottom bit. Now all I do is I take my glue that piece of paper, and then I'm going to stick that on to my cloak and rub down well. And then when I pick this up and turn it over, I can see the overlap here that I don't need anymore. So I'm just going to carefully snip round with my sharp scissors and cut off the overlap bit. So now I've got that stuck, and it's the same shape as the outside of the coat. Then I'm going to look again. I'm going to do another one now that's going to go on top. So I'm going to use this paper, and again I'm going to roughly estimate what that shape looks like. And now when I put it down, I can see that I haven't got that shape correctly done. So 2 ways of doing that. You can just cut it, or you can draw around here now, knowing that that is going to follow the curve of what we're doing. So I'm following this curve with my pencil here. I'm now going to trim that piece of paper, trim that round. I'm going to cut this off, and now I'm just going to have a look again and see how that's going. I still need a little bit extra cut off here, so I'm learning by putting it down. When I'm happy, I'm just going to glue again. I'm just going to glue that thing, give it a good bit of glue, but mostly on the bits that's going to be sticking on there, like so. And then I'm going to turn that round, and I'm going to cut off the excess from behind again, because I can see this is like a template behind. And there I am now. I've got those 2 bits done. Now on here you can see I've got a rectangle that has overlapped that piece of paper. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to get a fairly straight piece from my piece here. I'm going to look, and oh, that's not bad at all. I just need to trim that up a little bit. Now you can see it's quite raggedy, but it will fit over exactly where I want it to fit. So I'm just going to rub this along the top of the glue stick, rub along the glue stick, and I'm going to pop it down here like so. Give it a nice push down with your finger. And again, when I turn it over on the back, you can see the excess that we've got here. It's always easier to cut from behind because you can see what needs cutting. If you try and cut it from the front, it's a bit difficult and you lose that original shape. So all you need to do now is to keep adding and adding those bits of paper. One last little thing I'll show you is these ones I've done here are little spirals. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out, let's get a piece of this colour, I'm going to cut out a piece of paper like so. Again, I'm going to put it down on here so I can see roughly the size I want, and I can see now. Now I won't be able to cut a spiral without it being really fiddly, so I just want something to cover the spiral. And I can see now that that covers that nicely. So all I'm going to do is to cut that down, stick it. I'm going to glue it down onto the piece like so. And then I'm going to use, I can either use a pen or a pencil, and I'm just going to put the spiral back in on top of the, so it's a combination of the pencil and the paper. So anything that's full, and especially these ones here are quite easy. Anything that goes on the sides, stick them down, turn it over and cut through, and then, well, basically just have fun. And if we can get that finished this week, then I will show you next week. We're going to do the backing, and I'll show you how to do that next week, and also we're going to put the figures in. So this is what we're aiming for, but if you can get to a finished collage of the cloak this week, then we'll be well on target to head on for week 3, which is putting the backing on and the couple, and so 3 or 4 weeks we should be done. Fantastic. I will join you in the Zoom as usual, but have fun with that. I would say as well, the paper that you choose is really important. So the paper you choose will sort of make or break it, and by finding the nice paper, you'll really reap some dividends. It'll be good for you. Okay, thanks for listening, and see you in the Zoom call later on.